today we are discussing about Srimad Bhagavatam 3:34 and 5. So I'll share my screen and we'll go through the verse. So we are going through the Canto 3, 30 chapter, and we are reading fourth and 5 verses today. So this chapter is all about description by Lord Kapila of adverse fruitive activities. So we'll go through the shloka. जन्तुर्वैभव एतस्मिन् यं यं योनिमि अनुवर्चेत तस्यां सलभेत निर्वृत्तं न निवर्चते. Synonyms. Jantuhu, the living entity. Why? Certainly. Bhave, in orderly existence. Etasmin, this yam, whatever, yonim, species, anuvarchet, he may obtain, tasyam, in that, yah, saha, he, labate, achieves, nirvattim, satisfaction, not, virajyate, is averse. Translation. The living entity, in whatever species of life he appears, finds a particular type of satisfaction in that species. And he is never averse to being situated in such a condition. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The satisfaction of the living entity in a particular type of body, even if it is most abominable, is called illusion. A man in a higher position may feel dissatisfaction with the standard of life of a lower grade man. But the lower grade man is satisfied in that position because of the spell of Maya, the external energy. Maya has two phases of activities. One is called Prakshepatmika and the other is called Avarnatmika. Avarnatmika means overcovering or means covering, and Prakshetatmika means pulling down. In any condition of life, the materialistic person or animal will be satisfied because of his knowledge is covered by the influence of Maya. In the lower grade or lower species of life, the development of consciousness is so poor that one cannot understand whether he is happy or distressed. This is called Avaranatmika. Even a hog who lives by eating stool finds himself happy. Although a person in the higher mode of life sees that the hog is eating stool, how abominable the life is. Text number 5. Narakastopi deham vai napumsam tvaktim ecchate narakyam nivrittau satyam deva maya vimohitaha. Synonyms. Naraka, in the hell. Staha, situated. Api, even. Deham, body. Vai, indeed. Na, not. Puman, person. Tvaktam, to live. Ichchati, wishes. Narakyam, hellish. Nivritau, enjoyment. Satyam, when existing. Devamaya, by the illusory energy of Vishnu. Vimohitaha, deluded. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The conditioned living entity is satisfied in his own particular species of life, well deluded by the covering influence of the illusory energy. He feels a little inclined to cast off his body, even when in hell, for he takes delight in hellish enjoyment. It is said that once Indra, the king of heaven, was cursed by his spiritual master Brihaspati on account of his misbehavior, and he became a hog on this planet. After many days, when Brahma wanted to recall him to his heavenly kingdom, Indra, in the form of hawk, forgot everything of his real position in the heavenly kingdom and he refused to go back. This is the spell of Maya. Even Indra forgets his heavenly standard of life and is satisfied with the standard of a hawk's life. By the influence of Maya, the conditioned soul becomes so affectionate towards his particular type of body that if he is offered, give up this body and immediately you will have a king's body. He will not agree that this attachment strongly affects all conditioned living entities. Lord Krishna is personally canvassing, give up everything in this material world. Come to me and I shall give you all protection. But we are not agreeable. We think we are quite all right. Why should we surrender unto Krishna and go back to his kingdom? This is called illusion or Maya. Everyone is satisfied with his standard of living, however abominable it may be. So before discussion, we'll go for prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Tapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parajana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Radhita Sri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate तप्त कांचन गौरांगे राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। We'll recite glories of Bhagavatam. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudhirayet. Susrushoshatadhanasya vasudeva kadaro jesyan mahatsevaya vipra punyatirtani shevanat. Shrimatam Swagata Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtana Hridayantastu Bhadrani Vidunoti Srutsatam Ashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatirttam Shloker Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Tada Rajastamo Bhava Kamalobhadayascha Ete Tirnana Vityam Stitim Sattve Prasidati Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavatat योगतः भगवत्तत्त्वविज्ञानं मुक्तसंजस्य जायते विद्यते हृदयग्रन्थिश्चिद्यन्ते सर्वसंशया क्षीयन्ते चस्य कर्माणि दृष्ट एवात्मनीश्वरे। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। So we'll move into discussion. I am not a great orator, but I'll try. This is for my purification. So the satisfaction of the living entity in a particular type of body, even if it is abominable, is called illusion. So these two verses, they talk about our condition of life. So we think we are the body, and we take so many pleasures keeping this body alive, good and neat. Like if you take an example of the pigeon in a cage. So we take care of the cage, but not the pigeon. So we are not taking care of the soul, but we are taking care of the cage, the body. So in this regard, I could explain a little bit more. So in the previous chapter, Lord Kapila Dev explains to Devahuti more explanation about the devotional service. And he talks about the life and death of a materialist, how they take, and he talks about their post experiences. So in this chapter, he basically focuses on the first two verses. They focus mainly on power of time, how it destroys, like as the days goes on, and how it leads to lamentation. The first two verses, and the first three verses, and 4 and 5, it is basically talking about how one finds particular satisfaction in any kind of species, even in hell. So, in regard to these slokas, I want to tell a story. Like, these are all my realizations, and I heard from previously from acharyas, and I'm just repeating the stories I have heard. So once there is a sadhu, he's sitting underneath a tree with some of his followers, engaged in Krishna Katha and performing bhajan and kirtan. As they sang and spoke of the Lord, the king of the country passed by in a grand procession with his ministers and many people. The king noticed the sadhu and asked his minister, "Who is he? What he is doing?" The minister replied, "Maharaj, he is Mahamurka. He is the greatest fool. He has no intelligence and always creates disturbances." The king moved on, but that night he pondered deeply. If there is a fool in my kingdom, I should reward him. The next morning, the king called his minister and added him a gold coin, saying that this is a reward of the greatest fool in my kingdom. The minister set out, asking various people, "Are you a fool? Are you a fool?" People laughed, and none of them were willing to admit. After searching all day without success, the minister grew tired and morose. Finally, he approached the sadhu, who was chanting peacefully under the tree. The sadhu asked why the minister looked so troubled. The minister explained his task and his fear of king's punishment for failing. The sadhu smiled and said, "Why should the king punish you? All right, I'm the greatest fool. Give me the coin." So the minister handed him the coin, and the sadhu immediately threw it into the garbage. The minister thought that this sadhu was indeed the greatest fool to throw away a gold coin, and he reported the incident to the king. So years passed, and the king lay on his deathbed lamenting. The sadhu came to see him and said, "You are going to die, but you have accumulated so much wealth. Why are you so morose? Will all this wealth go with you? Will you take all these opulences with you?" The king replied, "No." The sadhu then said, "Then you haven't earned the real wealth that will follow you, the wealth of bhakti or true spiritual merit, premadana, love for Krishna. Material wealth is subjected to destruction. One who has not earned real wealth is the greatest fool. So you are the greatest fool, so you deserve the gold coin." And he gives the gold coin to the king. So this is our position. I could relate so much to the story. Like, oh no, we have to get out of this material birth and death. So what we can understand, what is the moral of the story is all about, like the king, we are all fools. And we accumulate material wealth, opulence, and which we cannot take us when we die. The true wealth we should strive for it is spiritual wealth, which follows us beyond this life. Love for Krishna is the real treasure. So we often worry about our maintaining the body, protection of our wealth, securing our future, but we forget that we have to die one day and cannot escape death. We plan and invest for future, that may never come, we neglect the eternal truth that only our spiritual merits will follow us after death. So last verse, so the previous verse, Haridwani Prabhu and Lakshmikant Prabhu, they explained really good about how everything, like all these attractions like home, land, wealth, relationships, which are related to the body are all temporary. And we think that this is all permanent in ignorance. So regarding the shloka, the next shloka. So Prabhupada already explained everything, that Indra, though he got reminded, but he's still like, no, I want to stay back. I could relate to one of the stories of Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada in Jhansi, he went out distributing the easy journey to other planets. So he is distributing the books, and one person came and he took the book and he asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, if I read this book, can I go to other planets? Prabhupada said, you can go beyond, you can go to Golok Vrindavan. What about the planets? Then the person asked, oh, if I go to Golok Vrindavan, can I come back? He's like, what? And Prabhupada said, if you go back to Golok Vrindavan, you can never come back. Then the other person says, no, then I don't want this book. You can keep it with yourself. So that is our position. So Krishna reminds us, but we never take up. So our position, I could relate to one more story. So there is a sand and a beach and kids are playing. So we know, like when we are kids, we used to play on the shoreline with the sand. We used to build castles. It's so much effort. We bring water, we make the sand castle. If it falls down, we again make it. And after everything is done, we feel, oh, good. And our parents will call us, okay, let's go, it's time to go. Then we can't be there. We can't keep that castle for us. Then we can't keep on crying, oh, this is my castle. I can't leave it. I want to stay with it. Can we do that? We can't do that. So when the time comes, when parents call, we just leave the place without having attachment. So what could I understand is whatever we acquire is everything is temporary. We work hard to have a happy life and we acquire wealth. By the time we acquire, we forget we are old and we have an uninvited guest waiting for us. It's a hard truth, but we have to be bold enough to face the situation. So even the time is short, but we were going through Puranjana's story with Arudha Mataji. It was so good. It was so heart-touching when Mataji is telling that Puranjana, he's compared to a soul. Puranjani is the body. So Puranjana, the soul, he takes up the material body and he leaves the home for the worldly pleasures. The city of the 9 gates, like Bhagavati, which is the human body, and the woman and her attendants, like they're captivating Puranjani, so they are the mind and senses. And they who attend with the 10 attendants, 10 senses, like and hundreds of companion sense objects. So she promises him endless pleasure and he marries her. So the influence of attachment and indulgence, like Puranjana becomes completely engrossed in cities pleasures, forgetting his attendant friend and his true self. And he spends years enjoying with the worldly activities and becomes deeply attached to his family and possessions. But at the time of arrival of death, so he's forced and the downfall of the city comes, means the body is getting deteriorated, and if he is living with a lot of grief and confusion. So at the time of death, Puranjana is still attached to his worldly pleasures and family. So this attachment leads him to rebirth as a woman. Yeah. So the moral of this Puranjana story is that we get attached to the material pleasures of the body, leads to suffering. True liberation is achieved through realizing the eternal nature of the soul and surrendering to the divine. So these two slokas remind me from my Bhakti Shastri, the Ishopanishad and Bhakti Rasa, like Upadeshamrita. So the first, it reminds me that everything in this world is free, like water, air, everything is free. But we don't even think about who is beyond all these free things. We don't think about these items and use them freely. So we don't even think who is the cause of all causes and everything. So Ishopanishad talks about Isavasham idam sarvam yat kincha jagata jagat tena tvaktena bhunjita me grida precious viddidhan. Everything animate and inanimate, visible and invisible, within this universe is owned and pervaded and controlled by the Supreme Lord Krishna. One should accept only these things necessary, which are set aside as in one's quota according to one's karma. One should not hanker for more. One should not try to accept the quota or wealth of others. So when we take these things, will be successful and happy and move towards devotional service. So, and the Upadeshamrita, Srila Rupa Goswami is set aside certain rules and regulations to make the life happy and successful. So, Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, Jiva Vedam, Udarapasta Vegam, Etan Vegan, Yo Vishesha Dhira, Sarvam Apinam Prithvimsa Shishyat. So, these are favorable things. So a sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, the urges of tongue, belly, genitals, is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So the 6 favorable things are eating, like unfavorable things are not eating more than necessary, collecting more funds than required, over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, practicing the spiritual regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of scriptures and working independently and whimsically. And the 5th one is which are unfavorable for devotional service. Associating with the worldly minded people who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And the 6th is being greedy for mundane achievements. So these are unfavorable, and whereas favorable, 6 things favorable. Utsaha nischaya dhairya tat karma nivartate sangastaya tyagasta sato vrittam sadbhir bhakti prasidati. We should be enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence, being patient according to regulative principles such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. We should follow, abandoning the association of non-devotees, following the footsteps of the previous acharyas. So if we follow these things, our life will be successful. even so I'll just end this session by doing it reminds me, and I just want to pray to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur to give me strength to continue practice this in Kartik and thereafter. Jeev jago, Gora Chandra bole, Kota Nidra Java Maya, Pisachi Rakole, Jeev jago, Gora Chandra bole. So Gora Chandra is calling, wake up souls, wake up sleeping souls. How long will you sleep in the lap of the witch called Maya? So I definitely pray from all the devotees if I made some and forgive for any offenses. I'll conclude this. We are running out of time. I'm open for any discussions.
Thank you, Mataji. Nice stories.
Thank you so much. I can't relate anything to philosophy. It's so hard. Because you already described yesterday, Haridwani Prabhu also told everything. So I don't have any points to touch the philosophical view of this. If you don't have any discussion points, we can conclude. Please forgive me for any offenses I did knowingly or not knowingly. Vancha kalpatarabhyascha kripa sindhubhyo cha pattanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo. Srimad Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Hare Krishna.